Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm chatting with Ken Brophy from Intrepid Metals. Now, this morning I discovered this company called Intrepid Metals, who I'd never heard of before. And I have to say that when I heard of the drill hole that they had, which is 105 meters of 1.17% copper, I said, wow, we got to reach out to these guys, hear their story, and have them on. So we reached out, they agreed to do an interview on short notice, and here it is. In this interview, we talk about that drill hole. I also get Ken's thoughts on copper and what excites him about copper. And I ask him a lot of the standard questions that you're probably going to want to hear if you're considering jumping in after seeing this drill hole. Things like, who are the big investors and what does the share structure look like? All right, everybody, enjoy the interview. Ken, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here.
So whenever we have somebody on who has dedicated their professional life to a particular commodity, I like to ask them what their thesis on that commodity is. Now, you guys are, I understand you guys are searching for a few different types of commodities, but the big result today is copper, which is why we spotted you guys and reached out to you about coming on. So I'd like to talk about copper. Copper has been on quite a run lately, getting above $4.50 per pound. It seems like the momentum's really strong. Certainly feels like there's not a lot of copper projects coming online, and the world just keeps needing more and more of it, which makes you wonder what's going to happen. I'm curious, what's your assessment of the copper market? What makes you bullish about copper when you get up and get out of bed in the morning?
Good question. I think from a copper standpoint, you touched on, time in the industry, and I've been fortunate to be involved with a lot of different commodities throughout the last number of years. And what I like about copper, I use the term essential. Copper's been essential to global growth for the last 300 years, and it's only going to be remain essential kind of moving forward. You touched on the supply and demand picture. There's no doubt with the push to decarbonize, all of the new infrastructure that's going to be required, EVs, AI, it's all lining up there. And unfortunately, the industry as a whole has had, a shortage of investment, and finding projects in safe and stable jurisdictions that can be developed kind of responsibly and relatively quickly, I think are really important. And that's something that I think we have.
So Ken, it's the first time that we've had you on. What is the high level overview of Intrepid?
So Intrepid, it's still a relatively new company. We came to the market in May of 2022 and focused the initial couple of years really on building out our asset base. It's no big secret. The junior resource market has been having some difficulties over the last number of years, and we tried to take advantage of that by focusing more on kind of M&A and consolidating certainly our Corral copper project, as well as adding another couple of great projects within our portfolio. So we currently have 3 different projects, all in the state of Arizona. We're very, very bullish on the state of Arizona for many, many reasons. But within our portfolio right now, we have a copper asset, or I guess a project in Graham County. And then we have 2 in Cochise County, which I think is one of the best counties in the state of Arizona for exploration and development. And they would be our Tombstone South project, just south of the town of Tombstone, which is a more of a silver-lead-zinc type of deposit. And then we have our Corral copper project. And we called it Corral copper because over the last couple of years, we had to corral a lot of this fragmented land ownership. Previously, there was a lot of exploration, even some small scale mining done within the area, and trying to piece together a district scale opportunity has taken the last couple of years. And I'm very pleased that we were able to consolidate that project. Within Corral, because of the historical work, we had a lot of historical drill data. There was no drill core, so we needed to drill it. But we had that, I guess, advantage where we had a strong degree of confidence in where to point the drill rig and the type of results that we'd get. And I think that's been kind of proven with our most recent news release.
So let's get into the big result today. You guys announced what I think is a pretty impressive drill hole, 105 meters of 1.17% copper, which is a great time to be hitting a hole like that at a time where I think investors are starting to do their homework on copper. And like I said earlier, there doesn't seem to be a lot of mines actually going into production. So let's first talk about the drill result. If I'm not mistaken, this is your guys' first drill program since going public. You obviously hit an outstanding hole or a couple holes. What can you tell us? Did you guys have a pretty good sense that you guys were going to be able to hit this hole based on that historical data? And what does it mean for the future of the drill program?
So, that one hole in particular, which was hole 20, I guess 2411, that one hole actually exceeded our expectations, to be honest with you. We're very pleased with the results. You touched on the 105 meters at 1.17, which when you look at a copper equivalency, it's 1.42 because we have a lot of gold within our entire system as well as silver and zinc. So, the copper equivalency route was certainly one that we felt, we would have to explore because of the value of the rock in the ground. But that 105 meters is still part of almost 200 meters of 0.68. And I think what's really important about some of our results, and we have a lot of great results, in my opinion, they're all shallow. So I don't know too many other projects, certainly with a market cap such as ours, that have the high grade, shallow mineralization that we've just been able to put out there. We're still drilling. There's still more results to come, and I would expect us to have some more high grade, good widths throughout the system.
Is there any sense of how large this deposit could be? I mean, you guys have lots of, and I'm not looking for you to throw a number out at me, but in terms of like you guys have all this historic data. How long is the strike? How deep does, I mean, we already see it goes pretty deep, but do you have any sense of just sort of how, like what kind of dimensions we're playing with where there is significant mineralization?
So what I can tell you, that we renamed 3 zones: the Holiday Zone, the ERP Zone, and the Ringo Zone. And it's all based on the movie Tombstone, Doc Holliday. But that's a 3-kilometer trend, and that 3-kilometer trend fulfills those 3 zones: the Holiday, ERP, and Ringo. And within that 3-kilometer trend, it's important to point out that's private lands. It's a combination of patented mining claims as well as BLM mineral, but we own the surface rights. So essentially, it's like private lands. So, simpler. There's not a lot of stories out there that have a 3-kilometer trend of high grade mineralization that fall within private lands. But more importantly, that 3-kilometer zone that we've been drilling is less than 15% of our entire property. So, that was the low hanging fruit that we could go towards quickly to prove that the historical data that we had could be relied upon. We've got a number of other targets. So people ask me all the time, what can the resource be? What can the resource be? And my answer is always the same. It's too early to state because we still got a lot of areas yet to be tested.
Without naming names, how has the response been since you guys announced these drill holes? Has your phone been ringing from any significant investors? Like it seems to me, as someone who's just watching the copper market right now, like, yeah, we're seeing some checks being written, but there's also, like, I look at the Adventus deal, and I'm not sure if you followed that one. And I thought that was tremendously disappointing for the junior mining market. I mean, they had a very high grade copper project. They brought in Ross Beatty. He couldn't finance it. So then they ended up doing a deal with a company that I don't think most people really consider to be all that credible, or a deal that was really all that lucrative for investors in Adventus. And that's not me kind of pointing my finger at management saying you guys screwed up. That's me just kind of looking at it and saying, is this just the state of the capital markets and how challenging it is to move projects forward? So sorry for that little rant there, but the question I'm getting at is how has the response been for you guys as somebody who has just demonstrated a really big copper hole the day that you guys announced it? Is your phone ringing off the hook?
Yes, I've had a lot of inbound, and fortunately, it's from a lot of supportive shareholders. Where we kind of had that advantage of the historical data. Um, these results didn't come as a huge surprise to some, but we've yet to really market the story. We've yet to market the opportunity because we wanted to make sure that our confidence level was high with the historical data, which certainly it is now. I think I've certainly had some inbound interest, and I have more calls again tomorrow from different groups that are certainly interested in what we're doing. I think, when it comes to our opportunity, because, we're talking about Corral, we're talking about fantastic copper and gold results. Um, the patented mining claims or the private surface rights is a real important part of the story. And that's something that's really attracting to people because some areas it takes longer to get kind of drill permits. We can continue to drill as we go without running into a lot of permitting delays. I think when people see private lands and shallow mineralization, that's very attractive to kind of many. Many also know this mineralization came from somewhere. What is that source and where is that source? And that's a big part of our story as well. The kind of porphyry potential or other potential that we can see that defines our project is something that a lot of companies from various scales are quite interested in. And, the things that I hear the most is great job on pulling together all of that fragmented land ownership because that area has been of interest by many, but they just couldn't corral a lot of that fragmented land ownership. So I think what we've been able to achieve over the last couple of years and proving that, the metal is in the ground is bringing a lot of eyes to our story. And, with a market cap of, 33 to 35 million, it's still very, very attractive to many.
So what's the next steps in terms of exploration?
Next steps is we do need to really evaluate a lot of the data we've been able to collect. The amount of gold in our system is very interesting. We have a lot of magnetite in the system, which was something new to us. The host rocks themselves, we need to further review, which is the most favorable kind of rock type. We're continuing to remodel some historical geophysics to further define some of the additional areas. But I would see the next steps starting to expand the known mineralization, continuing to prove up some of those high grade zones in particular, and look to potentially find the source of a lot of this mineralization. So I do expect that we'll be able to continue drilling into the fall. And I'll also just point out our Tombstone South project is it's a project that, myself and our technical team are very excited about. Obviously the Hercules or big story, they drilled a blind chargeability anomaly. We have a large, strong chargeability anomaly at our Tombstone South project that we're really excited to kind of drill as well. So, even aside from Corral, I think we have tremendous value within some of our other projects as well. So we're not a single asset company where we're all in on just kind of Corral. We've got some other great kind of projects and potential for us as we move forward.
Is there historic drilling on the Tombstone South or the Mesa well?
Within Mesa Well, there was some drilling done to the south of the property, and the mineralization and the alteration, which is key to kind of porphyry discoveries, was increasing as the drilling was moving towards our project. So, that's an earlier stage project. We need to do a little bit more work. There was certainly some drilling done within Tombstone as well. BHP drilled a hole back in 1995. They were looking for another porphyry, some really high moly. It was an RC hole near the bottom. There's been some other shallower type of silver exploration with still some great grade over reasonable widths. But none of the previous drilling ever tested the depths or getting into the limestone unit portion of the geology. And that's where the Taylor or Hermosa deposit that was bought by South 32, that's where that discovery was really found. So that's where our chargeability anomaly really lies. It is some deeper drilling, anywhere from 700 to 1,000 meter type of drill holes. But we hit what we expect to hit there. It would be quite the time for shareholders, and whether we considered spinning out an opportunity into a new vehicle, because there would be no way that I think one company could really advance both a new large discovery at Tombstone plus what we've been doing here at Corral.
So something that I have to ask about, because I know a lot of investors struggle to find these answers on CDAR, and even if they have found them, they still would like to hear sort of an explanation to the cap table. So, and I'm also sure that you've seen from having been in this business a while, there are a lot of bad actors out there that are, taking their founder shares or their vend-in shares, and they're feeding them to shareholders and creating a structure where those retail investors who buy open market basically just can't win. So if I'm a retail investor and I want comfort in the share structure to know that the stock is structured in such a way that the share price can continue to go up as you guys execute, what can you tell me?
Yeah, listen, I think that's a great question, and one that all retail investors should really, do the correct due diligence on as they evaluate different opportunities. So I touched on it earlier. Intrepid's a relatively new company, and we came to the market in May of 2022. And we came to the market after doing a change of business. So the vehicle itself was it was a technology deal that didn't really work out. Unfortunately, I guess for some of the technology investors, they got rolled back. The company rolled back kind of 10-1 previously. So, there was no cheap paper from that. There was no founder shares. So essentially, people just started to invest into the company. When we came out in May, we did our first financing, and that was at 20 cents at the time, and it had a 35-cent warrant. Since then, just prior to our last financing, we did a 2-for-1 consolidation, and that was essentially just a reset our capital structure. However, many times when a company consolidates shares, the price goes south. Ours just went north because of what we were able to achieve. So that 20-cent paper became 40-cent paper, and the 35-cent warrants became 70-cent warrants. And we've been having some people take down their 70-cent warrants. On our last financing that was done, earlier this year, that was at 34 cents with a 45-cent warrant. So no doubt there's a lot of happy shareholders that invested in that 34-cent round. There was one company in particular called Leocore Gold that put in a little over $3 million into it. They put it in as a strategic investment. So I don't see them looking to kind of sell at this point. They see the potential of both the Corral Copper as well as Tombstone South and potentially Mesa Well project as value creation. And the additional kind of 3+ million shares that came in, it was from a lot of existing shareholders as well. So we've got more great drill results that we expect to be able to, bring to the market. We've got, 3 great projects. We've got a strong technical team, and we'll still have, 3 million in the tail after this, so we can continue to execute on some of our exploration goals. So I think we're well suited for what's ahead. And we touched on people reaching out to us. There's certainly a lot of interest in what we're doing, and some people realize that they might have to, invest or look at other ways to get involved.
Well, Ken, I really appreciate you hopping on here today on such short notice. It's always great to get to talk to companies right after they put out a big drill hole. I congratulate you guys on the hole that you hit. And hopefully you'll keep coming back on here as you continue to hit those big drill holes. And everybody talks about Intrepid as the next Philo Mining. And you guys are a multi-billion-dollar company and still taking the time to come and chat with us.
Well, listen, I know certainly some of the Philo guys as well. They've done an amazing job. Will we be able to get a kilometer of high grade? That's certainly the hope. I'm just glad that we're working in in the U.S., not the high Andes. There's pros and cons to every situation, but I think they're a great group, and I certainly hope that we'll be able to continue to create shareholder value, certainly the same way that they did.
Thanks so much for hopping on, Ken.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. It was great talking with you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks, everyone.